Lawmakers in Arkansas have overridden the veto of a bill that prohibits gender transitioning procedures for children. The state Senate passed the measure last month, but on Monday, Republican Governor Asa Hutchinson vetoed it, citing government overreach. However, the very next day, both the Arkansas House and the Senate voted overwhelmingly to override his veto. Joining us now is Matt Hadro, Washington, D.C. correspondent for Catholic News Agency. Matt, thanks so much for joining us. First off, let's talk about the Arkansas State Legislature overriding the governor's veto. That's pretty significant. What are your thoughts on that? And were you surprised that the governor vetoed the bill, considering his record on things such as life issues and conscious rights?
Well, it is significant, especially given the overwhelming vote to override the veto. Governor Hutchinson did sign bills into law recently that banned people from participating in women's sports based on their gender identity, banning almost all abortions in the state, establishing conscience protections for healthcare professionals. So in that respect, his veto does come somewhat of a surprise. And he's the second Republican governor recently to veto a transgender law. Governor Kristi Noem in South Dakota vetoed a transgender sports law there. So we are seeing, somewhat of a divide in the party on this issue.
Matt, tell us what this measure does, and have any faith groups of church leaders weighed in on it?
So the measure prohibits doctors from performing gender transition procedures on anyone under the age of 18, except in very rare cases of chromosomal abnormalities. So gender transition procedures, this includes things like cross-sex hormones, puberty blocking drugs, and gender transition surgeries. And insurers are also prohibited from covering these procedures. Now, the Catholic Diocese of Little Rock did release a statement earlier this afternoon saying that they took no specific stand on the law. They said that they uphold the church's teaching that, except in very rare cases of medical abnormalities, that one's gender conforms to their biological sex, and that cannot be changed. The diocese said that whether this law is the best way to uphold this church teaching is up for debate, and they did not take a specific stand on it. The diocese did add that bullying, harassment, violence against LGBT youth is wrong and must be opposed, and it's not inconsistent to both oppose that while also upholding the church's teaching on gender and human sexuality.
Now that this bill is going to become law, what's next? I understand that the ACLU is already gearing up for a fight.
Yes, the ACLU has vowed to challenge the law. It's also challenging bills in other states. And, we are seeing bills percolate in other states, such as North Carolina. A bill has been introduced to restrict gender transition procedures for people under the age of 21. There's also a bill in Oklahoma that would ban people from participating in women's sports if their birth sex is male. So we are seeing bills pop up in other states, and it's going to be an ongoing issue.
Matt, thanks so much for coming on. We appreciate it. Matt Hadro from Catholic News Agency. Thank you again.